Hi everybody, it's Diana with Stamping with Di. Welcome to my YouTube channel and this week's Di's Shorts. And I'm going to revisit some watercoloring with the garden meadow like I did on my Teach Me Tuesdays. But I've heard from some of you that still struggle a little bit with the no-line watercolor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Basic Beige pad. So I showed you the other day, like, when you use the Basic Beige, you can still kind of see the lines. So that's why I didn't use that for the no line. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to use it. And I love how you can see the line. So I wouldn't necessarily call this no line watercoloring because I can see the lines. So I'm just going to call it watercoloring with the Basic Beige pad. And I love how it turned out. So that's what we're going to do today. So if you are new to my channel, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. My name is Diana, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm in the still very warm Santan Valley, Arizona. So I hope you are enjoying your day. I hope you are not in any of those storms that are headed. Oh my gosh, it's just like Mother Nature is just in a bad mood, isn't she? So I hope you are safe and well wherever you are. If you are brand new, I would love for you to subscribe. I am in the chat room. So if you're watching the live premiere, that's where I'll be. So you can head on over there. If you have any questions or you want to chitter chatter, if you are watching the replay, then just leave a comment down below. YouTube will let me know and then I can reach out to you. Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to chit chat at the beginning about. So close your eyes just for a minute and I'll get my camera adjusted. So I'm still going to use watercolor paper. I'm still using my water painters and my handy dandy cut little silicone with some cotton rounds to just kind of keep my my water painters under control. All right, so we're still going to use the wheelbarrow because I want to do the same thing so that you can really compare the two cards. All right, so instead of stamping the image with gray granite like I did the other day, I'm going to stamp my image with the Basic Beige. Now this is a brand new pad. It's kind of, I kind of call it like a magical pad. Even the cardstock is kind of magical because whatever color you put it with, it kind of changes the tone on it. All right, so I'm just getting that inked there. And then I'm just going to come over and I'm just going to stamp it off to the side. I'm like, okay. So there we have our stamped image. And I'm just going to give it a second to dry. All right. So I'm going to use the same colors as I used the other day, again, so you can really compare the two. But this time, instead of putting it in the little paint palette, I'm just going to do the colors right from the ink pads. So we want, to do, here it is. I want to do, so gray granite, we're going to do our wheelbarrow first. So I think that's good enough time for it to dry. And I just want to make sure that my water painter's it's clean. So we're just going to, I'm just going to set that under there so it doesn't get all wiggly. All right, so I'm just going to bring this here so you can see a little better. All right, so I'm just wetting, just putting a little bit of water in here. So this allows me to dilute my gray granite. And just like we did the other day, we're going to come over here and we're going to put that gray granite on here. So, but see what it does when it hits that Basic Beige, instead of having it go disappear, right? Because when we did the light gray granite, it just kind of disappeared. But when we do the Basic Beige, it doesn't disappear. The line stays there. And in fact, that line intensifies. You can almost see that line more. So it's kind of neat. It's like, but it's softer, right? If we had stamped this with black, it would have just been really dark the whole time. But this way, it just kind of changes depending on the ink that we use. All right, so I'm just going to come down here. We're going to, put our gray granite all around, like on the wire things or whatever that make up the wheelbarrow. And it just is funny how it just gets dark once that gray granite hits it. Okay, so my arms. And my arm over here. And I'm still going to extend that a little bit. It's a little harder because you can see that line compared to the other day. All right, so we've got that pretty well coated. So now I'm going to go back right into the gray granite again, but now I'm going to pick up a little bit more so it's a little bit darker. And I'm going to put a little darker around here, like where those flowers come down and give like a shadow. Okay. So now we're just like before, we're kind of tracing, right? We're kind of tracing that image. So I think if you do struggle with the no line, I think you will love this more because you are in a little bit more control over it. Okay, so a little bit more darker there. All right. Now, just like the other day, I want to take my Cajun Craze. We're going to add a little rust to our wheelbarrow. Oop, hang on a minute. I'm going to make my phone stop making noises. Okay, so just like the other day, I want to add a little rust to our wheelbarrow. So I'm going to clean this just so I don't get any of my gray in my Cajun. So wherever I want to add that Cajun, I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to add a little water. And that's just going to make my Cajun blend out a little bit so it's not so stark on my wheelbarrow. I want a little bit over here as well. I'm just kind of tapping it in. I also want a little bit here, and there's still a little bit on the brush. So just where you think, there might be a little rust, just put that little bit of water and add your bit of Cajun. So doesn't that just, make such a difference to it? I'll put a little bit more. There, so it's got just a little bit more there. But as you wet it, you can see how, since I wet that paper first, you can see it pull that color, right? So it goes towards the water. Okay, so I think that looks good. All right. So let's see, what else do I need here? I also want my lemon lime. So again, I'm sticking to the same colors as we used the other day. Just give it a squeeze. So by doing the ink pads, and I just put a little refill, in there, you have a little, it's a little easier to make that really, really light, but you're really watering it down. All right, so we're going to come back. I want to make sure that this is really dry. So it's still a little wet, so I'm going to come over here and do my wheel hole and let this dry just a tad. So I'll come up here and do my leaves so that I don't get anything being pulled. So I think that's dry now. Because you want to make sure it's dry before you add another color, because just like the colors go towards the water, it's going to go in there. So if I start adding my green and it's still like wet on the wheelbarrow, it's going to pull my green into my wheelbarrow. So just make sure there's no wet. So even here, so see, like now I'm adding lemon lime twist, and it's changing that basic beige. So now it's got a green tint to it compared to where here it had that gray granite, look. So it's just this magic. All right, now I'm going to come in here and I want to have my green be a little darker. So now I'm going to take my water painter. I'm going to go right in here where it's not as diluted, and I'm going to come over here and add. So my wheel will have a little darker look there. And the same thing with my leaves. I just want to have them not all be just that light color. I want to add a little dark kind of down amongst the other flowers where the shadow would be. Okay. So let me know if you have tried this, or if you think that you would have more success using that basic beige pad, because you can definitely see where you are. Because sometimes if you're doing the no line and you get working on it, you can take the picture away and then you're like, okay, well, I'm not for sure where I'm at in my photo, and so this makes it just be a little bit easier. All right, so now what do I want? So now I want my Azure, because again, we'll do our red last. So now we'll do our Azure Afternoon. And I'm just going to, grab a little bit, but I'm going to dilute it quite a bit. Dilute it a little bit more. So now I'm just going to put these pretty little, whatever these flowers are. Just going to stick them in here amongst the leaves. Like that. So see how pretty that is? And you can still see, the flowers in there. All right, so once that's good and dry, so I didn't use a lot of water with it. It was fairly diluted, and it should be good and dry. I'm going to come in, I'm going to grab a little bit more, because now I want to make it a little bit darker. Not that dark. Down in the little nooks and crannies where the shadow is. And then just kind of tap as you work your way up. And then you'll have, some little darker blues and some lighter blues. I could really color this wheelbarrow all day long, because it's just so gratifying to see it come to life, and you could have it be whatever color you want, but you totally feel like an artist when you're doing it. So look how pretty that is. Okay, so I've got my blues in there, and I want to make sure they're good and dry. So while I'm making sure that they are dry, I'm going to do my wheel, because I don't want to have my pool party or my poppy parade pull into my leaves or my blue. So I want to make sure this is really good and dry before I go in there and add that poppy. So while that's drying, let's do our wheel because it's like way away from where we were watercoloring. So that's good and dry around there. So I'm going to get my pebbled path. And again, we're just going to get a little bit. We're going to dilute it quite a bit. And then just put a little bit on here, and then you can see if you need to dilute it more. And then I'm just going to kind of trace around that wheel. And then we'll just color it in. This is Pebbled Path, and it's kind of what I gravitate to instead of black, because black is so stark and it gives you that dark look. All right, so I'm going to grab a little bit more where it's a little bit more concentrated, more darker, and then we'll put some and work our way around. And our wheel will be kind of dark up here where that wheelbarrow kind of goes over top of it. But that looks pretty good there. Okay. I'm also going to get a little bit of that pebbled path and I'm going to outline a little bit where I extended that one handle. Not a whole lot, but just a tiny little bit, just so there's a little definition here and there. I'm just using the very, very tip of my water painter. So see how you can just see a little bit more of that wheelbarrow, just kind of defines that. I'm barely getting any ink on it whatsoever. Just kind of, you know, just if you're not sure, just step back, hold it out in front of you, and just kind of look at it, you know, like hold it out and look at it from afar, because that will help you go, okay, I could add a little bit more here or there. Well, that looks good there. I don't think I want to mess with it too much. That looks pretty good. All right. Now, this should be good and dry by now. So I want to add my Poppy Parade. Let's get a new little whatchamacallit. That one was getting pretty wet. All right, so I'm just gonna squeeze. All right, so we're gonna come over here. Now, red, no matter what red you use, real red, Poppy Parade, Cherry Cobbler, any of the red bases are always potent. So I'm really diluting that right from the get-go. And then I'm gonna come over and I'm just gonna paint these in. So as you work your way over, that Poppy Parade will get lighter and lighter as that ink gets off of the water painter. So this also helps you have lows and highs in color, because as you run out of color, see, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter. All right, so we're going to come over. We're going to grab a little bit more. And I'm just going to tap in a little darker. It's not tons dark. Putting a little kind of here and there, because I'm going to let it sit a little bit after this and let it really dry before I go in and add my really dark. Because if I add it now and that's still a little bit wet, it's just going to pull it into my light, and then I'm not going to get that dark look that I want. Okay. So while that's drying, I want to take my old olive and I want to put some ground. I want to ground my wheelbarrow. So I'm going to take my old olive, and just like we did the other day, we're going to wet our cardstock. So we're going to wet our cardstock, our watercolor paper, and then we're going to add our color to it. So we're just going to, get a little bit of water on my, into my brush here, and I'm just going to add it to my paper. And I'm just doing it kind of quickly. And then I'll come over and I'll grab a little bit of that old olive, and then we'll come over and we'll add it. I'm just going to kind of work my way over to make my ground. And then I'm just working my way around. Now, instead of doing that, now the other day I did my grass and my sky first. This time I'm doing it after. So then I can see exactly where I need this to be. I'm just roughly doing it. I don't want it to be perfect, right? I just want it to be on there. We'll put a little darker there where that is, where that wheelbarrow will have a little bit of a shadow. I'll just keep adding a little bit. Just a bit. I don't want to go too crazy with it because I can always add more. You can't take it away, but you can add more. All right. So now let me find my Poppy Parade. Let me clean this. Get that green out of there. And I've used all my water. So what I'm going to do is, the water painters, instead of lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, it's opposite. So you just have to remember that. And then I just have like a little bottle by my desk so I don't have to keep going to the laundry room. And I just have water in it. And then I just squeeze it into the bottle. So these are the same little bottles I use for the fine tip glue, the green tip glue. It's just, they're handy for a little bit of everything. So yeah, you just have to learn to turn it the other way. All right. So let's go over here and make sure that's clean. So now I'm going to add more darker Poppy Parade. So I'm going to go right into the corner there and get more of that color, like where it's not diluted as much. And I'm just going to come over and I'm going to tap it in. So tapping is a little more easier than like going like this, because you can do less is more when you tap. So we're just going to tap that in. So my flowers are a little darker in areas, down kind of where those leaves are. And it just gives you more of a variety of your flower colors. That looks pretty good. All right, so this should be good and dry. It's still a little damp, so I don't want to mess with it too much, because I am going to come over and I'm going to add some Pool Party Sky. but it's still just a tiny little bit damp. Plus these might be. So I want to just give it a second. That's not too bad. All right, so we got our pool party. So just like I did the grass, I'm going to take my pool party and squeeze that. And I'm just going to wet and add my pool party. So we're just going to go like this. Come over, grab my pool party. And it's just going to be very subtle because I've already got blue in my flowers. So I don't want them to mingle too much because I don't want to take away from the blue in my flowers. So I'm just grabbing that and bringing it over. Add a little bit more water. Bring it over. Don't forget in here. Just really, really soft. Because you're just subtly putting it in there, right? Like you just want it, like, yes, it's just not a forgotten sky. We're going to put pool party in there. Bahama blue is pretty too. Pool party just has a more of a different look than the Azure, so that my flowers will stay pretty and not be kind of lost. I think that's good. I don't want too many streaks. And then I'll be doing something with these later. I'll be cutting them out, making them into cards. So I can, you know, fiddle fart around with them more when I decide to actually use them. But I think I like how this looks. If anything, I would come back with a little bit more gray granite. I don't have any blue on there. I would take a little bit of my gray granite and I might make my wheelbarrow a little darker in areas. So it's a little more defined. So see, it's just a little bit more defined than it was when I just kind of did the tracing. I kind of like, you know, it seems like it stands out a little bit more. And then I need my crumb cake for my handles. Put a little crumb cake on my handle there. So I just extended that a little bit. So I kind of like that extended a little bit. I'm also going to put a little crumb. My poor crumb has seen better days, right? I'm going to put a little crumb mixed with that old olive will give me a little bit more of a shadow where that wheelbarrow is. Plus grass has dirt, right? We could add a little bit of crumb into our dirt. I mean crumb into our grass. I kind of like adding that little bit of crumb in there. Okay. Let's see here. Do I need to put anything with my, make sure it's good and dry. I'm just kind of touching to make sure. All right, so I'm going to take my basic black marker and I'm just going to put a couple little dots here and there in my plants. I'm also going to come over here on my wheel and just make those lines just a little darker and just a little more defined. And then we have that little thing in there, that post or whatever, that wheel thing is going through. So I just kind of put a little black on there. I don't want to put tons. And then let's get our gel pen. So I'm going to use a gel pen today instead of the craft pad. If you did my fall social, get out your gel pen. We're just going to put a little white here and there, especially in our flowers. Add that little pop of white. And there you have it. And I could, to be honest, I could add a little old olive in my leaves. See, I just can't leave well enough alone. I'm such a anal. Okay, so hold on a second. Oh, when I get looking at it really close, I'm like, okay, I need to. So just like I added that the dark blue and the dark poppy, I just feel like the leaves are screaming that they need to also have a little bit of dark. So I'm going to take some old olive and put that in there because the lemon lime is a real bright green. And I just feel like I need a little darker green just in the little nooks and crannies to make those leaves stand out amongst the flowers. So I'm not coloring the whole flower in because I don't want to change the leaf to an old olive leaf. I just think it needs a little darker color in up next to the flowers. Yeah, I think that looks a lot better. We'll put a little bit down here on the wheel as well. Don't you think just adding that little bit of old olive on those leaves, it makes that lemon lime pop even more? You know, because you have that dark up against that light lemon, and it just makes it pop. All right, now let's see. Is she happy? The $100 question. Yes, so see, I like adding that old olive in there. It just kind of finishes it off. So let me show you. So the one we did the other day. So here's the one I did the other day. So this was like the one I did the other day for like no line. So this, you don't see any lines because I have like totally colored over it. And then this one, you can see the lines because I use that basic beige. So I find I kind of like this one better. This one is a little more heavy-handed because you can play with this one more because you can make it heavy-handed, right? You can make your wheelbarrow as big and fat as you want. Where here, you are confined to the stamp image. Now, the handle we made big, but that's not a big deal. But it just, gives you a couple different ways of doing it. This is the one I played with, last night. And then here is one I played with on the weekend. So they all look a little bit different. Both of these used the Basic Beige. And these ones use the gray granite. So, yeah, so I'm going to have fun coming up with, you know, something to do with them. All right, so let me say see you later, alligator. So let me know what you think. I know that was a lot of watercoloring this week, but I could sit and watercolor all day long, obviously. All right, so I'm going to stop blabbing. I will see you next week for my Mimeograph Monday with a Twist. Have a super great weekend, and let me know if you want to see anything in particular. Other than that, have a great week, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. That will be Monday, Mimeograph Monday with a Twist, 3 o'clock, Arizona time, same, same channel. All right, everyone. Bye for now.